Exposed, the heartwarming stories of 22 UFO whistleblowers transforming our understanding forever. In the heart of Maplewood, where laughter fills the streets during summer fairs and the aroma of barbecue wraps around you like a warm blanket, there was a mechanic named Sam. A hard worker and a devoted family man, Sam spent his days repairing cars and dreaming of better times. But lately, those dreams felt like they were slipping away, entangled in the grit of economic struggle. The walls of their beloved auto shop whispered worries of a fading American dream, and hope was a rarity. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped behind the town's silhouette, Sam found himself alone in the shop, drowning in thoughts about bills and the needs of his wife, Lila, and their two lively kids, Lucy and Jake. Just when he thought the night couldn't feel any heavier, an unexpected visitor walked in, an eccentric elderly man named Hank, with wild eyes that sparkled with untold stories. "I've been waiting for someone to listen," he said, and with that, a door opened to worlds Sam never knew existed. The tales Hank wove were mesmerizing, filled with vibrant details of encounters that sounded too incredible to be real. Stories of lights dancing in the sky, of beings that sparked wonder and fear alike. Each word seemed to ignite a flicker in Sam's heart, igniting a passion for truth he hadn't felt in years. Hank wasn't just telling stories, he was revealing a forgotten part of humanity, a connection to something greater. It was easy to get lost in the magic of those evenings, as week after week, more whistleblowers joined their circle, each with experiences that could light up the darkest corners of doubt. Sam was enveloped in a wave of camaraderie, a feeling that ignited a fire within him, stirring the deep-rooted values of courage and truth-seeking that defined the American spirit. But when Sam began sharing these stories with his friends and neighbors, the warmth turned cold. The laughter faded, and hostility began swirling around him like a storm cloud. Their friendly town turned into a battlefield riddled with skepticism and anger. "What is he trying to do?" Folks murmured between clenched teeth, turning their backs where once they shared smiles over backyard barbecues. Even Lila looked at him with worried eyes, trying to hold together their fragile world. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As tensions bubbled, Sam became the town's pariah. Each town hall meeting turned into a crucible of conflict, where voices clashed and every expression brimmed with fear. It was at one of those meetings, on a day when everything felt at stake, that Sam felt the weight of hope and despair pressing down on him. This was more than just the story of aliens, it was about truth, trust, and loyalty. His heart raced as he stood to speak, ready to unveil the profound implications of these experiences. Just then, out of the shadows emerged a mysterious figure with a file that could turn everything upside down. Gasping echoed through the crowd, and in that heartbeat, Sam understood, this was the moment that might change his life and his town. Could this be what he needed to bridge the immense divide? Or would it rip everything he held dear apart? The air crackled with tension, plunging Sam into uncertainty. The storm brewed larger, and the question loomed: would he find acceptance, or would the truth cost him everything? As the gasps faded, Sam took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto the figure standing at the edge of the crowd. The room felt electric, charged with murmurs and the weight of unspoken fears. The stranger, dressed in a worn leather jacket, stepped into the light, revealing a weathered face that bore the lines of countless burdens. With a slow, deliberate movement, he opened the file and began speaking. "I'm here to share the truth," his voice resonated, steady but laced with urgency. "There's evidence. Evidence that connects all the dots, the lights, the visits, the cover-ups." Sam's heart hammered in his chest. Was this what he had hoped for? Was this the missing piece that would turn the tide? The townsfolk exchanged skeptical glances, their disbelief palpable. But even as they fidgeted, something shifted in the air, a blend of curiosity mixed with a hint of fear. As the stranger detailed military documents, photographs, and accounts of high-ranking officials trying to hush things up, Sam felt the buoyant hope building inside him. A few in the crowd leaned in, listening, their brows furrowed with intrigue. For just a moment, it felt as if the walls built from doubt were starting to crack. With every word, the past few weeks of strife and isolation began to blur. This was no longer just about Sam's dreams or his status in Maplewood. It was about exposing a greater truth. And with it, maybe healing not only himself but those around him. The collective gasp had stirred something potent in him, the courage to speak out, the power of shared experiences, but then, just as quickly, the skepticism surged back. A voice, sharp and harsh, cut through the anticipation. "What proof do you have?" A man shouted from the back. "This is just a conspiracy. You don't know what you're talking about." The words hung heavy, thickening the air with tension. Sam turned, feeling the weight of rejection settle over him again. Would all of this unravel just as everything seemed to align? He glanced at Lila. Her worried gaze pierced him, imploring him to step back, to let it go. But he knew in that moment that he couldn't. Not now, not when the truth stood before him like a beacon. As the figure continued, revealing tantalizing details that felt like windows opening to a fantastical world, an unexpected ally emerged. It was Lucy, their 10-year-old daughter, who had been holding tightly to her father's hand. "What if it's real?" she called out, her voice ringing with innocence and conviction. "What if the aliens really did come? Why can't we believe them?" The silence that followed was deafening. Sam felt a glimmer of hope ignite at her courage, an ember that threatened to flare into a full blaze. It stirred something deeper within the crowd, questions bubbling to the surface, tentative yet yearning, but amid the scatter of uncertainty, something darker took shape. There were those who wouldn't let this notion spread. Just outside the hall, shadows moved, whispers of intimidation fluttered like dark clouds overhead. The stranger paused, and for a split second, the tension shifted. "All I ask is that you keep your minds open. Truth is often hidden where we least expect it." His words flowed like water, nourishing seeds that had been planted in doubt. But doubt thrived in the hearts of the obstinate. The stranger's expression shifted, revealing a flicker of fear, a reminder that the path to truth could be perilous. Sam felt that flicker ripple through him, and in that moment, he realized he was standing at a precipice. The decision loomed: would he plunge forward into this turbulent unknown, despite the risk? Would he stand for the flicker ignited within him, his daughter's innocence, and the possibility that perhaps everything they believed in could change? The air thickened, and just as the townsfolk murmured their resolve, a loud crash echoed outside, snapping Sam from his reverie. The crowd turned in unison, and a jolt of chaos rippled through the gathering. What lay ahead was no longer just a search for acceptance, it loomed like an intricate puzzle entwined with danger. What had they stumbled into? Sam's heart raced as he realized that the answer could redefine everything. Would he find the strength to stand against the gathering storm, or would the truth be drowned out by fear? The sound of shattering glass sent a shockwave through the crowd. Gasps erupted as people jerked back, instinctively clutching loved ones and shielding themselves from the unknown. A woman screamed, her voice piercing the tension, and for a moment, chaos reigned. Sam's heart skipped as he turned to see what had caused the disturbance. Outside, the dimming light revealed figures moving in the shadows, their outlines hunched and hurried. He could just make out the muffled angry shouts and the crunch of boots on gravel. It felt like the world was closing in. "Stay close," Sam whispered to Lucy, squeezing her hand tighter. She looked up at him, eyes wide with equal parts fear and wonder. This was a moment unlike any other, when the boundaries of their small town felt both fragile and elastic. The stranger stood rooted at the front, his expression a mix of fear and determination. As he continued, "It's important for everyone to know the truth. We're under threat right now, and not just from what you think." He gestured toward the window, hinting at the chaos outside. Breath held tight in their chests, the townsfolk's whispers shifted. Sam could see the uncertainty morphing into apprehension. Would they choose to believe the man in front of them, the kid in the back who bravely asked what if it's real? Or the loud skepticism that had now begun to creep back in? Do you see? Sam shouted, his voice suddenly fierce. This is proof that there's more going on than we can even begin to comprehend. We can't go back to ignoring this. A murmur of agreement swelled, slowly at first, but it was there. He could feel Lila's hand resting on his shoulder, gently applying pressure that promised unwavering support despite her doubts. The sound of chairs scraping the floor as some people stood up echoed around them. He knew they were starting to choose a side, but then, a low laugh broke through the tension, dark and mocking. You really think you're going to uncover the truth? You're just a bunch of gullible fools. The voice came from the back, where a group had gathered, arms crossed defiantly. Sam turned to face them, biting his tongue to suppress anger. It was too easy to get caught up in the disillusioned dissenters. We all felt the strange happenings. Don't let fear grab hold of you. Don't you want to find answers? For a heartbeat, everything stood still. People looked at one another, searching for courage hidden beneath layers of skepticism. The stranger cleared his throat, commanding attention again. What I'm saying isn't just about little green men, it's about power dynamics, cover-ups, and the lengths people go to keep the truth buried. The sharp crash of another object smashing echoed outside, a reminder of the urgency looming just beyond their small gathering. The stranger stepped closer, his voice growing more intense. Don't you want to change your reality? Sam felt a swell of hope. The message was resonating, but he also felt a growing sense of dread. If their burgeoning truth led to action, what would be the consequences? Please, listen to me, Sam urged, urgency building in his tone. Lucy believes in this. She believes we can find answers. We owe it to ourselves and to our kids to at least try. Suddenly, a figure burst through the doors, disheveled, wild-eyed, gasping as though they had sprinted miles. They're coming! The newcomer shouted, drawing all eyes. The room froze again, heartbeats echoing louder than the panic that threatened to erupt. Who's coming? Someone croaked, anxiety thickening the air. The tension reached a fever pitch, Sam's heart racing as he braced for what could come next. Would he finally uncover the truth, or would they all be swept away by a tide of fear that threatened to drown them? As the mystery deepened, another shadow fell against the doorway, someone who could hold the key to their survival. The question now weighed heavy: would they stand together, or would fear tear them apart? The newcomer took a step forward, his wild eyes darting around the room. Fear wrapped tightly around him like a cloak. They're not far behind. You have to listen. A collective gasp rose from the crowd, tension snapping like a frayed wire. Sam felt his heart in his throat as he scrutinized the frayed shirt and muddied jeans of this stranger, someone who had clearly been through the ringer. What do you mean, they're coming? Sam asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the chill creeping up his spine. They're coming for us. For the truth. The man staggered closer to the front, pushing through the cluttered chairs. It was as if the gravity of his words was drawing everyone in, despite their fear. I saw them. They know you're gathering here. They know what you're talking about. Who knows? Lila called out, her voice trembling yet adamant. And what do they want? The man took a shaky breath, his hands raised as he tried to calm them. The ones in power. They'll do anything to silence the truth, to keep you all from knowing what's really out there. He glanced back toward the door as if expecting a shadow to emerge at any moment. Sam could feel the skepticism prickling at the edges of the crowd. Just minutes ago, they had begun to unify, but the specter of fear reared its ugly head again. He stepped forward, eyes glued on the stranger. What did you see? Tell us everything. I saw lights, figures moving, unnatural things. I was at the old quarry just as the sun was setting, the man said, his voice vibrating with urgency. They were not from this world. They were scanning the area, and I think they knew about all of you. The air was ripe with disbelief yet heavy with possibility. Lucy's fingers tightened around Sam's arm. "This can't be happening," she whispered, eyes wide. "It is." Sam pressed on. He could feel the momentum wavering as uncertainty filled the space. "We can't let fear eat away at us. This is our moment. If we stand together, we can push back against this." "But what if they really are coming?" A young woman in the back spoke, her voice cracking. "What do we do?" That question sank like lead. The crowd fell silent, eyes flickering between each other and the stranger. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed, contributing to the tension that seemed to simmer just below the surface. Sam glanced at Lucy, then back at the group. "We can't run. We have to stand. Whatever happens, we face it together." A flicker of solidarity swept through the room, a shared understanding that the notion of togetherness had never felt more crucial. The stranger nodded, slowly lifting his chin. "If you're willing to fight back, I can show you how." Sam's heart raced. This was at the turning point. The stranger had the answers they needed, a path that could lead them toward something bigger than simple survival. But would they trust him? "I will follow you," Lila said, surprising herself. "I will too," shouted another voice from the back. One by one, more voices joined in, creating a swell of determination that pulsed and filled the room. Sam felt hope wash over him. They were making a choice, pushing back against the unknown. But deep down, he knew every choice came with risks. "But we need to hurry," Sam emphasized, looking back at the door. "If they're really coming, we need to get our plans in order now." Just then, a loud crash echoed from outside, the unmistakable sound of shattering glass mingled with muffled shouts. Panic shot through the crowd again, and the room buzzed with fear. "What was that?" Lucy's voice cracked. They all turned as the door swung open violently, revealing a dark silhouette just beyond the threshold. Sam felt his breath hitch as he couldn't shake the feeling that their moment of reckoning was arriving sooner than they had anticipated. What lay beyond that door? Would they be confronted with the truth they were chasing, or would they face something even darker? The silhouette at the door shifted, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness. Sam's heart pounded, each thud drumming against the walls of his chest. He fought to make sense of the scene unfolding before him. Fear gripped the crowd, but curiosity pulled them forward. "Who are you?" The voice came from the shadow, low and gravelly. The room fell silent, straining to hear the reply. "I'm the stranger," still panting from his earlier rush, stepped forward. "I'm here to warn you." "Warn us?" Lucy's voice trembled, though a trace of defiance pierced through her fear. "Why? What do you want?" "Please," the shadow urged, pushing the door open with enough force to flicker the lights above. "Their isn't time. If you want to be prepared, we need to act fast." Sam squinted hard, trying to see this newcomer as the dim light spilled into the room. There was a familiarity about him, an echo of the urgency they had just felt with the first stranger. "Who are you?" Sam demanded again, voice firm but edged with curiosity. "I'm Ellis." The figure finally stepped fully into the light. His face was ragged, the glint of determination etched deep into the lines on his forehead. "And I know what's coming." Before Sam could respond, another crash erupted outside. The sounds of chaos blurred his thoughts. Was this real? Or some sinister trick? He could feel the crowd behind him tightening, the energy shifting from solidarity to fear once more. Was their bravery about to crumble? "Look," Ellis said, raising his hands as if to quiet the crowd. "They're not just coming for you. They want us all, everyone who's looking for answers. We've all been marked. But we can shift the tide if we stand strong together." Questions raced through Sam's mind. Could they really take a stand against something so powerful? The air felt electric with possibility and dread. He turned toward the group, scanning their faces, searching for resolve. Do you all want the truth? Sam's voice rose above the murmurs, firm yet filled with the vulnerability of the moment. We cannot hide any longer. They'll find us whether we run or face them. A few heads nodded in hesitant agreement. The stranger, their ally, was right. This was about survival, yes, but also about understanding what they stood to gain or lose. Just as the tension reached its peak, a sharp sound sliced through it. A distant roar, metallic and deafening, echoed from outside, drowning out their thoughts. They were coming, and they were not far off. Ellis backed away slowly, urgency flickering in his eyes. They're here. We need a plan. Fast. Plan? Lila echoed, her brow furrowed. What kind of plan? We need to gather everyone, the ones who've been silenced, the ones who have evidence. We can't do this alone. What if nobody believes us? Someone whispered from the back. Sam took a deep breath, steadying himself. Then we show them. We show them the strength in numbers, in the stories we carry. If they don't believe us, we make them listen. Hope surged as determination laced through the group. They were ready to become more than just terrified bystanders. But just as they stepped forward, ready to enact their plan, the door behind Ellis burst open, revealing not just darkness but a blinding light. It swept through the room, drawing gasps and blinding eyes. The air crackled, charged with an unseen presence, causing the hairs on Sam's arms to stand on end. Something was crossing the threshold, and it was more than he ever imagined. What awaited them on the other side of the unknown? Would the truth lead them to freedom, or something much darker? The light flooded the room, wrapping around each person like a warm embrace before turning cold. Shadows flipped and twisted, distorting the faces of those gathered. Sam squinted against the brightness. Heart racing, he shifted his gaze between Ellis and the blinding light now spilling quiet fury around them. What is that? Lucy murmured, the edge of bewilderment coloring her voice. Her eyes grew wide, reflecting both fear and wonder. Ellis swallowed hard, his posture stiffening. The truth comes with consequences, and I'm afraid we might be facing them. The crowd shifted uneasily, the resolve they had felt moments ago peeling away. Voices rose in a chaotic chorus, anxiety spiraling into panic. What do we do? Someone cried. We can't let it in. But the pulsating light showed no signs of relenting. It seemed to beckon them, a force that cried out for attention. Sam felt a pull, as if the light was weaving into his thoughts, unraveling the doubts that held him back. We have no other choice. He shouted, trying to rally the group once more. This is the truth we've been seeking. We can't turn away from it now. Ellis stepped forward cautiously, a deep breath escaping his lips. Together. We face it together. Whatever it is. Slowly, they began to inch closer, the warmth wrapping around them like a soft blanket through the gradual acceptance of their shared fate. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the blinding light started to recede, revealing shapes and forms within. Sam squinted as the light morphed into figures bathed in a serene glow. Wisps of energy danced around them, creating a vision that felt otherworldly yet distinctly human. Who are you? Lila stammered, her voice a fragile thread in the thickened air. One figure stepped forward, a tall woman with kind, penetrating eyes. We are here to help, she said, her voice resonating not just in their ears but deep within their hearts. You've been searching for answers, and we understand your fear. But know this, you are not alone in this. Those words seemed to hang in the air like an echo of hope. Sam felt a swell of courage building inside him. What do you mean, not alone? Who are you? What's really going on? Another figure, a man whose silver hair shimmered as if reflecting the stars, interjected, the truth is more complex than you think. It has been hidden for too long, the stories you carry hold immense power. We need you to share them, for the truth must surface if we are to alter what is coming. The crowd exchanged glances. Sam could see the spark of courage igniting among them. They didn't just stand as frightened individuals, they were a collective of stories, burdens, and experiences blending into something greater. But why us? Lucy asked, her voice teetering between skepticism and intrigue. What makes us special? Because you've known fear, and understanding it is the first step towards change. You hold the keys. Your stories can illuminate what has been shrouded in darkness. The woman stepped closer, now extending her hand, glowing softly. Will you help us free the truth? As Sam hesitated, he felt a rush of memories, brief moments of clarity, joys overshadowed by doubts, voices lost amidst the chaos. He realized that this wasn't just about fighting. It was about connection, hope, and bravery in the face of the unknown. Around him, the group descended into a silence thick with contemplation, the realization settling like dust. Okay, Sam spoke, his voice steady but charged with uncertainty. Let us do this. We'll face it together. But one last doubt nagged at the back of his mind. What darkness awaited them ahead? Was uncovering the truth really the key to their safety, or would untold stories transform into something dangerously explosive? Another crash resounded outside, echoing through the very fabric of their conversation. They had no time left to question. What would they uncover as they stood on the precipice of revelation? Would this movement lead them to liberation or plunge them deeper into chaos? The air buzzed with tension as the luminous figures hovered before them, the warmth of their light still wrapping around the group like a protective cocoon. Sam locked eyes with the tall woman, searching for any sign of what lay ahead. First, you must know who you are, the woman said softly, her voice a soothing balm against the rising anxiety. All of you have faced darkness differently, and those experiences have shaped you. Lila crossed her arms tightly, eyebrows drawn together. But we're just ordinary people. How can we impact anything on a grand scale? The silver-haired man stepped closer, urgency in his voice. Ordinary people often hold extraordinary stories. Each fear you've faced, each struggle, they are not just yours, they connect you to a greater whole. Your stories hold power. Lucy took a deep breath, glancing at her friends. What if our stories aren't enough? What if we lose everything? Loss is part of truth. The woman's words were gentle but firm. But you will also find freedom. The truth can release burdens that have held you back for too long. A murmur washed over the group. Sam felt the heat of their heartbeats in the charged air, the palpable fear mingling with an emerging sense of hope. The realization began to rise, that perhaps sharing their stories was not just a burden, it could be a gift. All right, Sam said, stepping forward. We're willing to tell our stories. But what happens next? The figures exchanged glances, and the room shimmered with an echo of shared understanding. As you share, you will confront the shadows within and around you. Your openness will crack the illusion that binds you. Each story tells of a truth you've survived, it will build a bridge to the light. Ellis nodded, his face set in determination. Let us start, then. We can't shy away now. Each person took a breath, the room heavy with emotional weight. The first voice broke through the silence, quiet but resolute. It was Lila, her story spilling forth like a fountain, her childhood fears, the moments of betrayal, and how they shaped her. As she spoke, the glow around the luminous figures pulsed in rhythm with her words, as if urging her on. Sam watched as her confidence ignited encouragement among the others. One by one, stories began to flow, memories of heartache, longing, and hidden hopes. With each confession, a flicker of light ignited within the gathering, dispelling the darkness looming in the corners of the room. But then, just as the atmosphere began to shift, a frightening thunderclap echoed from outside, rattling the walls and cutting through their sacred moment. What was that? Lucy gasped, her voice trembling. The figures glanced at one another, concern etched on their ethereal faces. Something approaches, the silver-haired man warned, tension suddenly rippling through his voice. This is only the beginning. We must hurry. Okay, okay. Sam said, blood pounding in his ears. Keep going. We have to finish telling our stories. We'll push through. Together. As one, they resumed, voices rising, bolder and braver, yet fear still lingered like shadows behind their words. The pounding continued, a reminder that time was slipping away. Each story wove a tapestry of connection, binding them closer, yet the air thickened with the anticipation of what was to come. Outside, the chaos intensified. It felt like the world was teetering on the brink of some great transformation. What darkness lurked just beyond the door? What would happen when their stories finally broke free into the world? Would it lead them to safety, or to something far more dangerous? Each revelation teased at the edges of understanding, leaving them standing at a poignant crossroads. The stories flowed like a river, each word a drop that brought them closer to the truth. Lila's vulnerability pulsed in the air, creating a warmth that chased away some of the fear. Sam could see the way her voice steadied the others as if her courage was a beacon in the storm. You don't have to be perfect to be strong, Sam reminded the group, looking from one face to another. We're here for each other. Let us stand tall. In the backdrop, the relentless thunder continued, but it felt distant now, overshadowed by the growing strength of their shared narratives. Lucy found her voice next, recounting moments of self-doubt and the nagging feeling of never fitting in. She spoke of the weight of expectations, the dark thoughts that sometimes echoed her struggles. With every confession, she reclaimed parts of herself lost in the chaos of her mind. The luminous figures pulsed softly, lighting up with understanding. I thought I had to shoulder it all alone, Lucy admitted, her eyes glistening. But sharing even these bits of hurt, it feels like a weight is lifting. Maybe I'm not alone after all. As she finished, an invisible thread began to weave between the group, the warmth reaching out to wrap around one another like a tight-knit family. The silver-haired man nodded solemnly, as if to endorse their transformation. He turned slightly, his gaze drifting toward the door, but the worry etched into his features reminded them that time was scarce. Next was Ellis, his voice filled with a mix of hope and anger. I wanted to be the protector, but I felt powerless when everything crashed. I lost my job and my place in the world. That emptiness, it's suffocating. He paused, taking a deep breath. But standing here, I realize I can choose to rise instead of crumble. The air shimmered at his words, rejection of despair evident in the conviction in his tone. The air was charged with something akin to electric energy, igniting the spirits of the listeners. They were no longer mere observers of the shadows, they were warriors of their own stories. As Sam looked around the circle, he felt overwhelmed with pride. Each moment shared was a reminder of their collective strength and resilience. But even as their stories unfolded, the weight of the thunder outside loomed ever closer, a haunting heartbeat threatening to burst through the barriers of their sanctuary. More. We need to keep going. Sam urged, urgency rising in his voice. The world out there, it may be dark, but we're creating something beautiful here. Let us not stop now. Even as he spoke, another thunderous crash echoed from outside, punctuated by the sound of something breaking. Their hearts quickened, fear mixing with adrenaline. Did it mean the shadows were crashing through? The tall woman stepped forward, her brilliant light intensifying. This true unity is what will drive the darkness back. You will face trials, but so long as you hold the light within, you can stand strong. It is a battle of stories against silence. Just then, the vibrations fueled by their words drove the ethereal figures into a circle around them, and the air thickened with anticipation. The storm raged, a tumultuous roar that seemed to echo their inner battles. Who's next? Lila called out, her voice steady despite the tremors. Let us finish this together. As another member prepared to speak, the tension escalated. Sam could sense the air electrify, each pulse of the storm acting as both a threat and a catalyst for their truth. What would this revelation lead to? Would they be able to harness their collective stories against the chaos? The next heartbeat felt monumental, like a ticking clock counting down to an unknown climax. Would they shatter the illusion of fear, or would the shadows overwhelm them? The door rattled once more, and with it came a fear-laden question that lingered in the air, one that cradled hope but hinted at peril. Are we ready for whatever comes next? The moment hung heavy in the air, a fragile balance between fear and hope. Every heartbeat echoed louder than the last as eyes turned to the next speaker. Each person felt the weight of vulnerability, yet that weight urged them to speak up, to share their truth. Sam's pulse quickened, sensing the tension, the electric air thick with anticipation. "I think it's my turn," a soft voice broke the stillness. It was Maya, her fingers trembling slightly as she brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. The light that surrounded her flickered, reflecting a kaleidoscope of emotions. She held everyone's gaze, finding strength in their shared solidarity. "I've always been drawn to the stars," she began. "To the mysteries beyond our understanding." A pause lingered, a breath taken deep. "But as I got older, life's challenges overshadowed that wonder. I lost myself in the noise of doubt and cynicism." The group leaned in, a collective breath held in awe of her vulnerability, illuminated by the shimmering light she emanated. "I've felt lost in a world that reduces everything to chaos. But in the darkness, I've searched for that glimmer, that light," Maya continued, her voice gaining strength. With every word she shared, images of her life flashed in the minds of the audience, the moments of doubt, the tears felt in isolation, the whispers of wanting to connect, and the yearning to understand deeper truths. "Recently, I was encouraged to share more about my beliefs. I would sit under the stars and speak to them. It felt foolish at first," she confided, a shy smile breaking through her worries. "But it became clear I wasn't just reaching out to the heavens. I was reaching within." The energy in the room shifted as she spoke, her truth resonating with each heart present. The flickers of light around her brightened, melding into a radiant circle of support. "If we confront our fears and embrace our truths together, what's stopping us?" she urged, her passion igniting a flicker of courage in others. "I never thought I could connect the dots, not just with my knowledge of the stars but with everyone here. I realized we're all just searching for something to believe in, something bigger than ourselves." The storm outside growled, but it seemed insignificant compared to the fire she had ignited within the circle. Lila smiled broadly, tears glistening in her eyes as she felt the truth in Maya's words resonate deeply. "Your story is beautiful," Sam encouraged, a swell of pride filling his heart. "We are stronger because of you. Keep going." Maya nodded, determination piercing through the clouds of uncertainty. "I choose to believe that every connection we forge is a star in its own right, colliding and illuminating our paths. If we can share our stories, together we create constellations of hope." The crowd erupted in murmurs and nods of affirmation, buoyed by her insights. It was a captivating unity, one that pulled them toward an incredible revelation that would to surface amidst the chaos. "Time is slipping away," the silver-haired man reminded them, his voice steady yet urgent. "We all need to confront our truths. They're waiting for us." The door rattled again, louder this time, as the ground seemed to tremble beneath them. Shadows lurked at the edges of their circle, a reminder of the chaos they were battling. "Are we truly ready to face the storm?" Lila's voice rang out, laced with determination and fear alike. "Do we share our stories just to lighten our burdens, or are we here to be a force that shakes the very foundations of this darkness?" Their collective gaze turned toward the door, anticipation simmering just beneath the surface. Would they be brave enough to push through this darkness? Would their stories be the light that held the shadows at bay? A silence settled around them, thick yet electrifying. In that moment, they all shared something unspoken, a mutual understanding that whatever happened next, they would stand together. And then came a flicker of movement, a shadow seen just beyond the door. The air crackled, and a question echoed in everyone's mind: who or what was waiting for them on the other side? The shadows twitched beyond the threshold, their presence pressing in like a suffocating fog. Sam could feel the doubt creeping back. Yet, looking around, he saw not just fear in the eyes of his friends and family, but a dawning resolve, an electrifying decision to face whatever awaited them. "Let us open the door," he said, voice steady with newfound courage. "Let us meet this head-on." Lila squeezed his hand, and he could see the glimmer of determination in her eyes. Maya nodded, her connection with the group shining through. "Together," she declared. With a deep breath, Sam stepped toward the door, heart pounding like a drum in a parade. He grasped the handle, feeling the energy of every hand behind him, pushing the door open wide. The outside world met them with swirling winds and echoes of chaos, but what caught Sam's eye first was the brilliant burst of light accompanying shadows. Figures danced outside, their forms twisting and contorting, inviting yet intimidating in equal measure. The tall woman they had seen before emerged from the light along with the others. "This is it," she proclaimed, a serene assurance radiating from her. "You've brought the truth to the surface. Fear has held too many back for too long." The crowd edged forward, hearts thumping as they watched the unfolding interactions between light and shadow. "We're here to support you," the silver-haired man echoed. "But you must take the leap of faith, share what you've learned." That statement rang in the air, heavy with expectation. Sam took a step closer to the edge of the doorway, drawn not just by the light but by the swirling desires of the group behind him. "We are not just stories. We're a community," he said, raising his voice to rise above the tempest. "And we will stand together." The crowd erupted in a chorus of agreement, the murmur rising to a zealous shout. They poured outside, stepping into the light with Sam at the forefront. His pulse roared in his ears, but this was the moment. With each step, the shadows that had seemed engrossing now appeared less formidable and more like a challenge waiting to be met. As they crossed into the light, the hushed whispers of doubt transformed into vibrant conversations. Sam could feel their stories melding into something more vast and powerful, each account building a tapestry brimming with truth. They shared fears, hopes, and dreams, weaving connections as if crafting a net to catch the darkness that had threatened to consume them. Lucy stepped beside her father, her eyes wide with excitement and resolve. "We need to tell them all we've learned," she urged, glancing back at her peers. "The world has to know." "Yes." Maya echoed passionately as she recalled her own journey staring at the stars, now merged with this newly formed connection. "We're not just individual stories anymore, we're a constellation of truth." Sam felt warmth wash over him, an encompassing glow that wrapped around the group. The dark forms that had loomed before them began to oscillate, shifting in response to the emanating light. They weren't there to consume them, they were almost listening. "Don't forget," the tall woman said, breaking through the flurry of hope. "You have the power to create understanding. Your truth is a weapon against the abyss." With that sentiment swirling in the air, Sam stepped forward. "Listen to us," he called out, the crowd rallying behind him. "If you feel fear, know we've felt it too. But we stand together, united by our stories." His declaration echoed into the expanses, the light pulsating brighter as each voice joined in, stories spilling forth fearlessly. As they connected, the darkness began to retreat. Shadows flickered like whispers around them, then evaporated into nothingness. Collective memories intertwined like vines, creating a solid shield against the doubt that had once threatened to tear them apart. A powerful breeze swirled around them, lifting their spirits higher as they faced this newfound horizon together. Together, Sam repeated under his breath, every heart fused with this singular realization. They had turned their doubts into resolve, forged a link of truth that was now unbreakable. And as the light enveloped them, casting aside the terminologies of fear, they realized the world they were born into was bigger than they had ever imagined, a canvas spattered with experiences, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to embrace it. Filled with gratitude and hope, Sam looked at his family and friends, joy swelling within him, and knew they would face whatever the future held together. So here it was, the time for transformation, a vibrant distance ahead, and they would meet it unwaveringly. Now is your moment. Don't wait another second to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and ensure everyone sees this. Comment your raw reactions and feelings about this thrilling ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the impact of your support is crucial to our journey together.